This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Dan Berube is the founder of the Boston Creative Pro User Group. He's also the co-producer with our own Mr. Mike Horton of the world-famous Supermeets and longtime recurring guest on the Buzz. Hello, Dan. Welcome back. And in spite, by the way, of a mean cold, he is standing up to chat with us today.
And he's got 50 feet of snow outside, I'm assuming.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
How are you, Larry? How are you, Mike?
Hi, Dan.
It's 80 degrees outside, and Mike and I are in air-conditioned studios. I just want you to know we're thinking about you.
Yeah, it's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow.
Thank you. Rub it in. I don't know how useful I'm going to be during this next 10 minutes because I am so full of medicine that you would not believe. But I finally got rid of the hoarse voice. I'm just excited to be back and to go from Daytona, beautiful Daytona, back to over 4 feet of snow here in Waltham. With another blizzard happening this weekend.
Oh, I know. It's incredible.
If it's Monday, it's got to be a blizzard.
Have you seen the pictures?
I know.
I mean, the pictures
phenomenal.
are just incredible.
What you don't understand is Dan is not in his house. He's inside a snowdrift that he's been able to furnish.
Yeah, it's pretty warm in here. I'll tell you, it brings me back to my childhood because we used to do the snow banks and build Eskimo huts and whatnot, but I don't have to worry because I got tiny houses in the front of my yard that people are living in. I like it.
Dan,
I want to know how the dogs can go outside.
Before Mike gets his mucklucks on and heads out to say hi, you were just at Sundance, and I wanted to get your take on what was happening there. What were you doing at Sundance?
I was there basically working with Emerson College, sponsoring a couple of the 6 female student filmmakers that were there for the program, for the festival, in tandem with Creative Mind Group. And Creative Mind Group does programs in Sundance and Berlin and in Cannes. So it's basically building up their experience as filmmakers at the festival to give them enabling, presence at the festival. So I was there. I was actually rooming with your next guest, Maxim Jago. So I get to say that I slept with Maxim at
Cool.
Sundance.
We'll start the interview out like that.
You may say that. He may not want you to say it. However, there's a difference there. So what was your takeaway from Sundance? What's the highlight that you remember?
Well, this was the first festival at Sundance for me, so I went there with accreditation pass. That was like $200. The festival pass is like $3.5 million, so I couldn't afford it. But so I didn't see any films there. But what I did see with a lot of filmmakers and went to a lot of networking events and got to stand in line outside at overcapacity crowds. My favorite part was just meeting people and filmmakers and having conversations with them because there's a lot of breaks and a lot of places so you could just sit and hang. And it's really interesting to see the type of filmmaker that's at Sundance. I did speak. I presented with Maxim at the HP Sundance House on the Tuesday there, and that was interesting. And there was a good crowd there so that we got to talk about basically enabling technologies, and Maxim approached it to me in conversation where what happened to me, how did I get started in filmmaking in the past, and we talked about the present and then went and pontificated and prognosticated about the future. So that was a good hour with him there. I went to the Canon Creative Studio. I went to the New Frontiers Pavilion. Was amazing because it was all virtual reality. And there were several different exhibits, and I'm telling you, where the technology is going is incredible. What's happening?
I mean, the VR was covered huge in all the trade papers, and it was 4K was the buzz last year. VR is the buzz this year, and it's and there's doing some astounding things. I wish I could have seen that, Dan.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get to do it at a Supermeet.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. I know Ted Schilowitz is very into it, and a lot of Oculus Rift, of course, you hear all about.
But 3 years ago it was 3D. Last year it's 4K. Now it's VR. Is it one of those things that's going to appear for show and disappear?
Again, you don't know, but it's just really cool technology right now. So you don't know exactly where it's going to go, but it looks like. And they were doing narrative stuff. They're doing They won't do feature films on these things.
Oh, they absolutely
They maybe will.
They absolutely will do. I mean, let's take it. It started this year with Oculus Rift showing Interstellar, where some of the film was presented using the Oculus Rift. That was at the DC, the Smithsonian Institution and whatnot. So that's just a glimpse of what can happen. But there were exhibits where people from actually, two Emerson graduates, the Daniels, they were music video directors. They did a series of videos that were interactive that had multiple endings, and you just pressed a button, touchscreen, and just basically, flowed with the story and with the mood and the feeling. That was incredible. There was a bird exhibit where you lay on a table and you strap yourself into wings and you put the Rift goggles on you. And you start basically, moving around and flying over San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get to do that because I'll tell you honestly, that was in a darkened room, and that was after one of the big parties that we went to. We were basically out until 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, every morning. So I think if I had done that exhibit, there would probably be some tactile response from me on the floor.
Dan, as you look at it, Sundance is really the intersection of technology with creativity. How is creativity changing due to the impact of changes in technology?
Well, I'll tell you, I can speak from my point of view. I was there while also promoting a film that I've just worked on called The Chain, which is based on an original story by Tobias Wolff. And I held it, I don't know if you can see this, but I held it on this USB keychain.
Yep, we see it.
I was giving out a ton of these to film festival organizers and filmmakers and reviewers that were interested. For me, enabling technologies today, I think XML has a lot to do with it. Being able to work in a fashion with the software now, I created with Adobe Creative Cloud, and basically had a team of people who are like-minded that you can depend, just like Kanan was talking about in making a feature film, identifying people that you want to work with. And they all had, different strengths. I cut the film, stayed in the MXF codec throughout the process because we shot in the Canon C300. That's 1920 by 1080. And then handed off XML to the colorist Rob Bissett, to the visual effects artist Tim Montgomery, who worked on an HP system, a PC-based system on After Effects and Flame. We were able to traditionally now. I think that Hollywood's in the past for today's filmmakers because we're now able to do things like not worry so much about picture lock, and that was important for Noel, the director, and I, because we wanted to be able to make minute changes throughout the process. We involved the sound designer and the composer early on in the process. We didn't wait until picture lock to be able to pass that off to them. So that, and I was conforming in ProRes 4444 while the footage was graded, and then while Tim Montgomery was still working on the visual effects, and we were still feeding iterations of the soundtrack into the film and timeline. I think that to me was incredible for the experience of the film, and just an indication of where you're going to see this. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface, and we can't talk about this in the 10 minutes that we have. But the future. I think storytelling is evolving across the medium. George Lucas talked about the super take.
Well, Dan, what we'll do is we'll invite you back because this could
there's a lot more to talk
about another hour.
There's way too much.
And Dan's film is going to be in D.C. here in 2 weeks.
Excellent. Called The Chain. And where can people go to learn more about you? Dan, quickly, what website?
Yes, thechainfilm.com.
thechainfilm.com and the BOSCPUG, BOFCPUG.org for his user group. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Bye, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.